Hi, this is Shupriyo from shupriyopanda.com, and today we are going to continue with the RBI Grade B Interview Preparation series. I'll give you some general questions and answers today, and I'll give you some nice tips about how you can answer the age-old tell me about yourself question, and also about your weaknesses, because those are the things that we stumble upon quite a lot. So let's get right into it. So coming to the first question, introduce yourself. Now this is a question that is asked in almost every interview to almost every candidate, and this is something that you can always prepare for. So introduction is something that you should have by hearted, and you will have to say a very standard type of speech. I'll tell you about how I would answer this question, and hopefully you can take away the important bits of this introduction and apply it and make your own. So when you go ahead and introduce yourself, the first thing that you start off with is a hello or a good morning or a good afternoon. Now, depending on the time of the day, it would be better if you go with a good morning or a good afternoon, because that has a more personal feel to it rather than a just blank hello. So I would say something like this. Good morning. I'm Shupriyo Panda, and I've been working as a deputy manager in SBI for the past 3 years, where I have handled both branch operations and the advances portfolio. During this time, I have enhanced my knowledge about the Indian banking industry and gained technical knowledge as well as interpersonal skills. Prior to SBI, I was working in TCS, where I gained knowledge of the IT industry for 2.5 years. When I switched to banking from IT, my goal was always to get into the Reserve Bank of India. I feel like my stint in SBI has enriched me with knowledge about the commercial banking industry, and I hope to use this knowledge to embark upon my central banking career in RBI. So this is the entire thing that I would speak. Now, what are the component parts of it and how did I actually draft this? I'll show you. So the first part that you have to include in your presentation is the short current background. So what is this part in my speech? It is this one. I am Dash and I have been working as a deputy manager in SBI for the past 3 years, where I have handled both branch operations and the advances portfolio. During this time, I have enhanced my knowledge about the Indian banking industry and gained technical knowledge as well as interpersonal skills. So this entire part, this corresponds to your short current background. So this is something that you should say immediately, because that's the first hook that you use to reel in the interviewer into your entire background. So this is your current background, whatever you have at this point of time. So what you're doing right this point is what you begin with. So I hope you understand, like you can draft it if you are working or if you are a student, you can put that section in the beginning. The next thing that you have to say is a concise background, a past background that you had before you came to this job. So that one is this. Prior to SBI, I was working in TCS, where I gained knowledge of the IT industry for 2.5 years. So this is a small section which will have your concise background that you had before you were in the current role. So why do you have to do this? Because you are trying to link in all of the information that you currently have with the past information or your past work experiences. So notice something, that I am not simply regurgitating my biodata. So this is something that you have to avoid. You must not regurgitate your biodata, because they already have your biodata or your CV, resume, whatever it is. It goes for any kind of job. Whatever they have in front of the paper, they are already reading. They already have that information. So try and spice it up a little. You try and include something that is quite unique. So once you give your current background about what you have right at this point of time, you go ahead and you tell about your previous things. So since I was previously in TCS, I just wrote just a simple one-liner thing, and this is what I'm going to say, that I was working there for 2.5 years. We do not need to go deep into why I was there and my motivations for getting into it, because if they ask me, then I would have to cover that, and they have not asked me that. They are asking me to introduce myself, so it's going to be very brief in this manner. And the third part that is also quite important is this one, which is your future ambitions. So this you always have to link in when you are telling about introduction, because this is actually what helps them understand what you are expecting from this interview, what you are expecting from this role. So the third part, as you see, I'm trying to transition and I am trying to tell them what made me apply to RBI and what I am trying to get from my role in RBI. So I'm saying, when I switched to banking from IT, my goal was always to get into the Reserve Bank of India. So you have to state that it's your goal. It's something that you are working towards. So if you have been working towards it for a large number of years, then it goes towards you, like that goes in favor of you, because you have been trying for such a long amount of time to get into this organization. And see how I'm structuring the words. I feel like my stint in SBI has enriched me with knowledge about the commercial banking industry, and I hope to use this knowledge to embark upon my central banking career in RBI. So as you can see, this part right here, it has everything about my future ambitions, about what I want to achieve once I get inside RBI. So you have to understand that your introduction, it's not just a simple thing that they're asking. Everybody gets asked this question and everybody fumbles. And I have seen so many people who are unprepared with the answer. You should have this kind of a preparation. You have to give them your current background, a concise, detailed background or past of wherever you have worked or whatever you have done, and then you have link it to the future. So three things you have to remember: your present, your past, and your future. So these three things have to be included in your introduction speech. So I hope I was able to explain it to you. And if you have any further questions regarding your personal background, you can write it down in the comments below. I'll help you with how you are going to structure yours. So moving on to the next part. So the next question is, why do you want to work in RBI? Now, this is a very important question, and you need to have a very unique angle to get into a core answer that will satisfy the panel. So you must have a very unique why, and you have to link it with your personal story and your experiences, what you have gone through in life. If you can link those things, and if you can show them that there was a path that you started over here and the end of that path is how you reach to RBI, and this is where RBI is, this is where you are now. So then you will have convinced them that you really want to work for RBI. So what had I done? If you have read my interview experiences that I have posted in my website, and I'll also link it down below in the descriptions if you want. I'll just because what I said over there was quite unique to me. I said that I was working in TCS. Then I got exposed to AIG, which was this American International Group, a very important insurer, international insurer. Then I got to know about the roles of the central banking industry, how AIG had been just placed as a SIFI, or a systemically important financial institution, and all of these things, how they inspired me to learn more about central banking, how they helped build my own experiences, how they helped build my own interest in finances and in financial services, and how I wanted to transition from an IT career into a financial services career. So that is how you have to build. You have to build your story. Just try and think all of the various financial links that you have in your career and how that drove you towards this RBI job. You cannot say that you want to work in RBI because it has a good working culture or because you're going to get a good salary. These are all just secondary parts of the job. These are all side effects, if you say. It's not the main thing. So what is your primary drive, your primary passion that you are going to tell to the board and they'll be impressed with that? It has to come inside of you. So you have to convince them that you have a very high inclination of working in the central bank. So I hope I was able to explain you how you have to put it in a unique manner and just go ahead and explain it to them regarding everything. So moving on to the next question. This is a very important question, and it gets asked various ways. So for example, they might ask you, why are you a good fit, or why are you a bad fit? And they sometimes also ask, why should we hire you and why should we not hire you? They might ask it like this, that give me 3 reasons why RBI should take you. Or they might ask, give me 3 reasons why RBI should not take you. So this is basically a SWOT analysis kind of question. So I hope that you know about SWOT analysis. If you don't, then just Google it. So it's strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So it's kind of a personal appreciation of what you are good at and what you are not good at. So when you have to say about positives, we all know how to tell about our positives, right? So there are so many different things that we are good at, and we are always out to tell the board or the panel what we are good at. So this is something that everybody is quite proficient to tell the board. So you can say that you are a hard worker. You can say that you are self-motivated, that whatever motivations you have, you do not need to acquire it from HR, or you do not need to acquire it from your teammates or your colleagues. You have that motivation from yourself, and you are self-motivated to perform well at RBI. The next thing that you can say is that you have a very good work ethic. This is something that many people state. And you can also say that you have attention to detail. So if somebody has quite a high attention to detail, then he will be very good at those tasks which require a lot of thinking and which require a lot of introspection. So this is something that you can definitely speak about if asked about your positives. And another thing is ownership mindset. So for example, if you are able to take a project, if you are able to take a certain job and then you are able to perform it as if it is your own, as if the onus of the entire thing lies upon you, then of course you will be excelling, right? And so ownership mindset is something that is quite positive, and you can bring that up, that this is how I view the world. The next thing is team player. Every organization has a team that you must work with, and if you are a team player, it works positive wonders in every organization. And another thing that is quite important and pertains to RBI is your passion in research. So if you are somebody who is very passionate in research, who reads all the journals, all the national and international journals and different publications to find out the root cause of any problem. So you can say that I read all of these things and I try and link it with the current problems, the problems that contemporary society is facing. So this is a kind of person who would perform very well in the RBI Grade B job, because you have this kind of a research oriented kind of outlook to the world. So try and put that in as well if you want. So these are your positives, and you can pick 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever they say. You can just go ahead and explain it to them. So now we come to the weaknesses. So this weakness part is the most important thing, and many people I have seen, they stumble when they are asked about their weaknesses. And we have this this bullshit, this HR bullshit that says that you have to use hidden strengths as your weakness. Now I would never recommend you to do that, because the people that are going to take your interview, they are not some little children. They are people who have 30 years, 40 years, sometimes 45, 50 years of experience in the kinds of things that you are just starting out in. So they will be able to call your bluff from a mile. So please don't try to bluff them. Please don't try to disguise something that you already know or something that you are already good at as into something that you are weak at. So don't try and do that. Don't try to play games. Be honest. This interview is about honesty. It's about what you really know, what you are good at, what you are bad at. So try and tell them what you exactly are bad at. It's not hard. Just think about it. There are many things that you can say which will not disqualify you from the job. Of course, I'm not telling you that you go ahead and say that I'm not a hard worker, I don't have work ethic. Come on, then who's going to take you in? So you have to justify it. Okay. And when you are saying these weaknesses, always try to say that you are working on it and that you are trying to improve. So this is very important, that whenever you are saying all your weaknesses, after each weakness that you state or after the end of all of the weaknesses, you just tell the things that you are doing to improve it. So I'll just show you what I mean. So basically you be honest, and so you can say something like, I'm great at a logical problem solving ability, but I am not that good at tackling problems creatively or in a lateral thinking kind of a way. So what does that mean? That basically means that whenever you are dealt with a problem, you try and go for bookish kinds of things, logical kinds of things to solve it. So whenever you see a problem, you break it down, you try and just see each individual step, and then you go to fix it. You do not go out of the box, and this is not something that is quite negative, because this shows that you are a left brain dominant person, that you don't have that much of right brain dominance. So what you can do is you can say that to improve my creativity, I have recently started watching various kinds of Indian jugaad, the things that Indians are, the things that poor Indians or people outside of the workplace are good at. So people like tea sellers, people like the rickshaw pullers, or somebody from another different section of society uses these things in a very creative way. So you have tried to notice these things, write them down in a journal, and try and apply it to your higher order questions and answers, to your higher order problems, and you are trying to work on it. You can go ahead and tell them something in this sort, and they can be very impressed with this your weakness. And the next thing that you can say is that you believe in a confrontational approach to problem solving, and you believe in direct feedback to the person, to your colleague, or to your teammate. So what that means is, whenever there is a disagreement between you and your colleague, you don't hide your emotions. You go up to that person and you directly tell him or directly tell her what you feel. So this is not always a good thing, because sometimes you have to be sensitive about these kinds of things, especially in government organizations. So this is something that you can say is a negative aspect of your behavior, and you're trying to work on it, because there are various situations, work situations, in which it's not good to go into direct conflict. So if somebody is quite senior to you, you don't go ahead and tell him or her that you are wrong. That would set a bad precedent, right? So that you have to find out ways in which you can tackle that thing very subtly, and this is something that you're working on. And you can say that for solving these kinds of issues that appear sometimes, I would not go for direct confrontations. I would try to think of different ways in which I can tell the person that what they're doing is not right. So instead of saying, hey, you're wrong, you might be saying that, hey, I think we can do this in another way, and why don't you try it? So this kind of a change in language that you are trying to do. So you can see these are the kinds of things that it's a weakness that you have, but you are trying to solve it. You are trying to get better at it. You understand what I mean? And you can also say that I'm not a great public speaker and I'm working on it. So this is very this is a very very common kind of a problem that many people have, that they are not good at public speaking. And you can say that I am very comfortable in conferences, in boardrooms, in small settings, but I am not confident to speak to large gatherings of people, like if there are 100 200 people. I know my role at RBI would require me to sometimes speak to those people, and I'm trying to build up on that. I'm trying to take some courses, I'm going to some local clubs that would help me with that. So these are the kinds of things you show that you're working on your weakness. And the final question that we are going to discuss is, will you stay in RBI? So this is a very tricky question, and even if you say that, yeah, I love RBI, I'm going to stay, I'm never going to quit, it won't actually be something that they are going to accept at face value. So will you stay at RBI? This is something that you have to show rather than tell. So if I say that, yeah, sure, I'll be staying, then they'll be like, okay, but what proof do you have? So this is the kind of proof that you have to give them, that, sir, see, I have been trying for RBI for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, and I have been repeatedly giving these exams. So you can have a lot of extra firepower in this kind of an answer if you have, for example, done many attempts for RBI. So I know people who have done 3, 4, 5 attempts. It's not a negative thing. It shows that you really are passionate about getting this job, and if you get this job, you are not going to go anywhere, and you have to also say many of the things. So you can tackle this in this way that sir, this is my age so and so, I am going near to 30 and I want to settle right now, and this RBI is the best place. I want to get married after this struggle ends, after I get the job. I want to settle down, and this is somewhere that I see myself spending the rest of my career. So this is something that single people can say. And if you are already married, then also you can use this card. You can say that since I am already married, I really do not want to switch jobs again and again. It takes a toll on my family, and I want to settle down, and this is the best place that I want to settle down in. You can say that you are researching many of the things. So if you are interested in research, then you can say that I love reading books, I love doing research, and RBI offers me this kind of an opportunity. So try and think, what can you say? What can you show from your experiences, from your profile, that you are going to be in RBI for the long term? You show them. So this is a question that is sometimes asked to overqualified candidates or people who have been, going through many kinds of jobs. So even I was asked this question because I had been in electrical engineer, and then I had gone into TCS, and then I had gone into SBI. So all of these kinds of things. So they were actually trying to ascertain whether I would actually be interested in staying in RBI for the long term. So I hope I was able to tell you some tips regarding how you can tackle this question. So I hope this session was very useful for you, and it was fun for you to learn about all of these tips and tricks. If you want me to cover more of these, please put them down in the comments down below, and I'll definitely get back to you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.